It certainly has been for the CMV Group as we celebrate its 80 exciting years. It's a highway full of vehicles from CMV's history, and it's one that's made its way to no less than 6 states in Australia. It's a highway with a few serious hills to climb and a couple of wrong turns along the way, but it is one that has continued to cut through the challenges while continuously moving forward. It's our turn now to travel that highway of life for the CMV Group, and what better way to do it than in this beautifully restored 1934 Diamond T bus. Let's go for a drive. First stop, it all began. Have a look at these blokes trying to hitch a ride. Sorry boys, not on this bus. As I was saying, it all began here with a man with strong convictions, Sidney Crawford, or SC as he was known. Which brings us to Warrnambool in southwestern Victoria and its importance in the story. It was the birthplace of Sidney in 1885. He was the 4th of 7 sons and grew up in this area. This is the site of his old school, Carroy, and by coincidence we now have a Murray Goulburn contract site down this road. In fact, here comes one of their rigs now. Sidney was pretty bright and fortunate enough to win a scholarship to the then Surrey College in the eastern area of Melbourne, and Elsternwick became his new suburb. After school, he joined the bank, like his brothers before him, and eventually became the youngest bank manager in the state at the mere age of 19. Cheers to that. Eventually he was transferred back to Elsternwick to run the bank there, and it was here that he got his first taste of the motor industry, when the bank became receivers for a dealership which had gone bust. SC joined the company and the company became successful. This was partly because we were in the era of Henry Ford, which allowed everyone, not just the rich, to own a car. Then there's a small hill called World War I. But SC used that to his advantage by becoming a transport driver and learning everything about the world of trucks. Good day for a walk. Post-war, and SC and his new bride, Elsie, moved to Adelaide to start a family of 3 and a couple of car dealerships, one selling Austin, the other Fiats. Things went very well until SC got caught up in a too-good-to-be-true project, the Hobbs gearless drive, which unfortunately turned out to be too good to be true, and he lost his partners and involvement in the dealerships. Bloodied, but not beaten, SC decided to try again, but this time with commercial vehicles. And so the success story begins. The very first member of the CMV stable was here, Franklin Street, Adelaide, back in 1934. It was brave and it was different. As one of his sons, Jim, or JAC, said many years later, in 1934, you had to have some pretty strong convictions to start a business which focused on the sale of commercial vehicles rather than motor cars, something which had rarely been done in Australia up until this time. Franklin Street was the first CMV service station, as dealerships were called then. But maybe it was a sign in some ways, because one reason CMV has become the force it is was because of service. We were between wars and the economy was building after some tough years worldwide. Australia was rich with land and promise, and agriculture was on the rise. And what did farmers need? Other than rain? Tractors, and in particular these new revolutionary tractors with these newfangled pneumatic tyres. Now, of course, Sid saw the opportunity and he purchased the franchise for Case tractors from America. This was the springboard to the future. As the company grew, so did Sid's family, and in particular, his eldest, Jim, who showed a love and aptitude for the business. He came into the company as a salesman while studying accounting as well, and learned the business from the inside. He eventually became an accountant for a while, but World War II and a call-up saved him from a life as an accountant. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Post-Second World War, and the company grew with new franchises and customers, from trucking companies to farmers. Post-war also created a great opportunity to get new trucks and parts dirt cheap. You see, the Australian Army had abandoned hundreds of vehicles in Darwin and its surrounds. All JAC had to do was find some drivers willing to go on a long haul for little money with scarce food on poor roads and bring the vehicles back to Adelaide. Wow, too easy. Well, as a result, JAC ended up in hospital, but the trucks, they made it back to Adelaide. In 1950, Jim was appointed to the board, and it heralded even more exciting times in CMV's history. Australia in the 50s was booming, and every manufacturer in the world wanted a piece of the Aussie pie. CMV became the company behind some of the great brands that built this emerging country. Trucks, tractors, cars, buses. CMV was there. Look at this comma. One of thousands they would have sold, right next to one of Jim's favourites, 62 Sunbeam Alpine. And if you don't mind, an old Humber. Toyota. Diamond T's. A historic B61 Mac. 688 Volvo, have logbook, will travel. Dodge with a GM engine. Kenworth T600, Mike's Make Believe. There's the Van Dam Volvo, FH4. Have a look at that Kenworth, right next to the DAF. Hino and UD, Mack Titan Southern Cross, celebrating 50 years of manufacturing in Australia. Check out that Swift. They bought a Jeep. Along the journey at this time were some curious sidelines, notably a salvage company, a gas conversion company, and my favourite, the Hascard Smoking Pipe Company. The journey took us from an age of swing to the birth of rock and roll, the Beatles and the beginning of the Woodstock era. Can I get something in this? The road took a sad turn in 1968. Sidney Crawford, the great visionary who led the journey, sadly passed away, and son Jim took over the reins. The next 20 years with Jim in the chair was a period of amazing growth, with even more of the world's great brands finding their way to our shores, and in particular, the CMV dealerships. It was a period of acquisitions, partnerships, new manufacturing and service enterprises. The great have-a-go period in Australia's history, and CMV was part of it. Jim was a sensitive and thoughtful man whose quiet exterior masked a dynamic entrepreneurial spirit and love of the business. Even in his frail latter years, when presented with a restored truck at the Clayton opening, Jim quipped wistfully, "Have logbook, will travel." He simply wanted to drive it home to Adelaide. Apart from the fast-growing company, Jim was also wrestling with raising 7 children, including Michael, David and Paul, and the whole boys will be boys thing.
When I wake up, I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know
Michael joined the company and the board, and despite the incredible choice of four-wheeled vehicles at his disposal, he opted for two wheels and the excitement of motorcycles. At first, Jim helped him buy the bikes, but common sense took over and he wanted Michael to give it up. He even tried to pass a motion at board level. Michael paid as much attention as all young men do.
Well, that was 42 years ago that Dad tried to limit my motorcycling career. I've always had a passion for motors, for bikes, for trucks, for cars, for tractors, and glad to say that's continued for all those years. I think what I really like about our company is, even though we've grown, it's very much a relationship business. Part of my job is to make sure that I keep in touch with our customers, our staff, our suppliers, our bankers, and most importantly our franchisors, to make sure our doors are always open. And I think we do have a heart, and that is probably most exemplified in our CMV Foundation, where every year we give away a substantial amount of money. And the best thing that we've been able to do is put back into the community, which has been so kind to us. And I'm sure the next generation will carry that forward in the years ahead.
It was a period of expansion, and not only in the automotive world. One of the sons looked into different fields. Fields of almond trees, pistachios, cashews and vines. David studied agricultural business and kick-started our agricultural projects, which continue to grow today.
Many people think that agriculture is not for the faint-hearted, but I'm sure that's the advice that was given to Sid Crawford 80 years ago when he started the CMV Group in the middle of the Great Depression. 34 years ago, Keith Scopel, our financial director, wanting some diversification for our core business, thought that agriculture was a way to go. CMV Farms has moved from an experimental project to core business. The success of CMV Farms has been due to really good, loyal employees, great managers, and the formation of strategic partnerships. The task of feeding the world is increasing. Australia's ability to produce clean, green, nutritious, and food that is trusted by our customers will serve us well in the future. Australia's geographical location to Asia is a great strength for agriculture going forward. CMV Farms will continue to grow and develop, making use of the rapid changes in technology. Farms have gone from strength to strength. Our people, our product, our marketing skills and our opportunity all leads to the fact that the future looks really bright.
Something else grew at that time. Some wonderful Jimisms that are always heard in our boardroom. Sadly, JAC passed away in 1999, but his words and those of Sydney SC live on. The CMV and CMV Staff Foundation are as strong as ever, and they stand as a permanent legacy to both Jim and Sydney's vision for the future of our wider community. Do something and something happens, but maybe not what you expect. Always leave something on the table for the next bloke. And very importantly, treat customers and staff with equal importance. Respect for the individual is vital, and this is why we set such stock in the right training and development of our people. Our apprentice programs and employee reward schemes began 80 years ago. SC believed that staff personally trained and generously rewarded will be a company's greatest asset. And so it has proved the right people over the years, making management so much easier and the future so much surer. And doesn't a glimpse of the future look very bright indeed? Incredible new age dealerships now proudly bear the CMV badges. Buying and owning a truck has never been more amazing, with Jeps Cross, Hallam, Laverton, amongst others. We're even offering overnight beds for tired drivers. Likewise, in the world of cars, with breathtaking dealerships such as Lexus of Adelaide and its neighbour, CMI Adelaide. To help manage these challenges and usher in a new generation of family and professional management into the business is Paul Crawford, or, as you guessed it, PSC. G'day, Paul.
G'day, Terry. Well, we've come a long way. 80 years, 4 generations, and an incredible effort from countless staff. All that to where we are today. We've got diversity of product, diversity of industry, geographic diversity, and of course a vibrant agricultural business. But what of the future? Well, we'll continue to have change, and probably even more rapidly. There'll be challenges. More importantly, there'll be opportunities. The convergence of globalisation and digitisation will guarantee that. Our success will be determined on how we handle those challenges. But there are some core CMV values which in my view won't change, and they are a genuine respect for the individual and continuing to place equal importance on the welfare of both customers and employees. But unlike our old Diamond T bus, which has taken us on this journey from 1934 to 2014, Mike, Dave and I can't be reconditioned. Our journey at the helm of this company is drawing to a conclusion. But that's not a bad thing. In the decade ahead, the combination of continued family stewardship and top professional management will ensure that the company's in great hands. It's going to be one hell of a ride.
Thank you, Paul, for your insight into the next amazing 80 years. And to those in the room and those who couldn't be here, thank you for joining CMV on this ride down the highway of life. That's it from me, guys. Have a great night.